Well, welcome to the Valley Hoops Insider podcast. I'm the host of the show, Harry Schroeder, part of the Valley Hoops Insider website. And today we have, just a great opportunity to get to know one of the finest basketball coaches in America. Not one of the finest women's basketball coaches, but one of the finest basketball coaches in America. She's the head basketball coach at Missouri State University. Her name is, I promised her I would get it wrong, Amaka Agugua, right? Hamilton. Welcome to the program. And Coach, first, just thanks for spending some time with me and letting us get to know Bears basketball a little bit better.
I appreciate you having me. It's definitely an honor to be on here. And you did say it right eventually. But yeah, it's Amaka Agugua-Hamilton.
I'll get through it, Coach Mox. I promise. I'll get through it here as we flash through. Third year there at Missouri State, and you guys have had some great success. Before we get to that, tell us about you. Like, I've been trying to dig in and get to know you in a research way, but tell us about you. Married, you've got a child, grew up near Washington, D.C., but from Nigeria. Like, give us some of the backstory.
Yeah, I'm first generation in my family. My brother, sister, and I, born in the U.S., but, we used to go back home all the time to Nigeria. But my parents, my family all down the line are Nigerian. We grew up in the Washington, D.C. area, though, Northern Virginia, Maryland and Northern Virginia. But so I'm kind of an East Coast girl. But, yeah, definitely when I'm around my family, I switch it up a little bit, have an accent, and talk a little different. But or even to some of we have 2 Nigerian kids on our team, so it's easy for me to communicate with them. But yeah, so definitely a God-fearing woman. That's the biggest thing that people know about me, and just somebody who operates with high integrity and tries to do everything with a genuine heart. But my heart is my son and my husband, 2 of my biggest supporters, the lights of my life, and everything kind of surrounds everything I do. I just do for them, obviously, first and foremost for God, but for my family, my late great mother, who's my inspiration. And, so I'm a people person. I'm a relationship driven coach, and just trying to make a difference in people's lives.
Nigeria, see, I'm not great at all kinds of those nations. I go to Africa about every other year. I go to Burkina Faso. My daughter's a missionary there. And their national language is French. National language in Nigeria is?
Well, everybody speaks English, more so broken English. They say pidgin English, but there's 300 different dialects in Nigeria.
Wow.
So there's a lot. Some of the more common ones are, Yoruba, Igbo, Hausa, things like that. But I'm Igbo, and the 2 kids on my team are actually Igbo, which is a popular one. I'm sure people have heard of that. But there's 300 different dialects. We're a British colony, so English is, a language that everybody knows there for the most part.
Interesting. Wow. You ended up at Missouri State after being at Michigan State, but before that, you played at Hofstra. And I read somewhere, tell me if this is true, had some injury problems when you were playing, and it kind of became, okay, I better start coaching now, because you wanted to get into coaching, and the injuries maybe hastened that journey a little bit.
For sure. I was hell-bent on just playing basketball and playing at a high level. I wanted to play in the WNBA, and just injury plagued career. I've had 6 knee surgeries, 4 stress fractures in my foot, partially torn rotator cuff, sciatica in my back. It just goes on and on.
No problems at all.
I'm paying for it all now, but I just played through a lot. And when I finished school, I got invited to some of those combines and things like that. But I had opportunities to go overseas, but I just remember my mom, who was a surgeon, looking at my scans and was like, if you want to play with your kids in the future, you better hang this thing up. And so that's why I got right into coaching at a young age. And, 16 years later, this is where I'm at.
Some time there at Michigan State, and I know some of the people on your staff you knew from Michigan State. So you talked about relationships a minute ago, how important they are to you. And obviously that's right out in front of us as I look at your staff. Some of the other coaches came from there as well. What was the transition? How did you end up at Missouri State?
Yeah, Michigan State definitely holds a special place in my heart. I spent the most time in my career there. Obviously started out at VCU, went to Indiana University, ODU, then Michigan State. But I was at Michigan State for 6 years, an associate head coach there, and also interim head coach there as well. So There were some opportunities that I did pass up on. Like I said, I'm a God-fearing woman. Everything I do, I give it to God first, and so I prayed about a lot of these opportunities. Just trying to figure out if it was a good situation for me, my family. Is it a place where I can impact that program, that
Mm.
university, that community, things like that. And there's a bunch of them that came after me, but at the end of the day, it didn't feel right. It just wasn't the place that I thought I was meant to be. And then when Missouri State came, it was a no-brainer. Obviously I prayed about that too, but just even meeting the administration, Kyle Motes, Cliff Smart, just everybody here that's our AD and our president, Casey Hunt, our SWA. It felt like a family here. It felt like an opportunity that I just did not want to pass up. I really appreciated what they allocate to women's basketball, from resources to support to, even just the fan base, everything here, facilities, the players, the history. There was just so much to build on. And then, coming here and meeting the players and the community, and just being in a place where I feel like I can impact the community in a positive way. It was a no-brainer. It was a no-brainer for me. So I feel tremendously blessed to be here, and also to be like, the first African-American female head coach in any sport here at Missouri State. It carries a lot of weight there and responsibility there. So it just seemed like it was a perfect fit.
I wanted to ask you about that. You mentioned the first African American woman coach at Missouri State in any support and in any sport. Recently, Dawn Staley was making some comments about the amount of African American women being able to coach in those Power Five conferences, and that there's some growth in that area. There is an extra responsibility and extra, I don't know, inspiration maybe for you to do it right, to be successful, to do it the right way. Do you feel that? Is that am I understanding that accurately?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel the responsibility, of course, the opportunity. Um, I just want to be an inspiration and a mentor to the youth, despite any race, color, gender, anything
Mm-hmm.
like that. And also just be able to impact the community. We there's not as much diversity here in Springfield, so
Mm-hmm.
just to be able to represent African American women, but African Americans, and maybe just shine a light on us, that we can be articulate, we can be in leadership positions, we can impact people just as much as anybody else. So there definitely is. And also just open doors for the next generation of coaches, or even this generation of coaches that maybe wouldn't get opportunities, but if you go somewhere and you do well and you carry yourself in a positive way, then maybe the next time they'll be able to hire another African American woman. So yes, there's responsibility in that, but at the same time, a lot of people are, oh, is there pressure? There's no pressure in that. I just want to be me. I just want to, people to just get to know me for me, and just see me as a coach, not necessarily as an African American coach or a female coach, or and also see me as a mentor, and see me as somebody that can impact a community, or impact their children, or impact themselves. So I I think that it's an amazing opportunity. I feel really blessed to be given this platform, but I don't really feel pressure, because that's just not who I am. I just want to, be able to um, talk to people and be around people, and for people just to get to know me for me.
You talk about pressure. There might be pressure just to be the women's basketball coach at Missouri State. I mean, I was looking, I've been around. Listen, I'm way older than you. I was announcing college basketball games when Missouri State was Southwest Missouri State, and they were a Division II school that my school that I was announcing for played against 40 years ago. They were good back then. They've been good all along. There's a little bit of a responsibility, a legacy to continue, isn't there, for you there at Missouri State?
Of course, even when I tell recruits that I'm recruiting, I say, you come in here to be a Lady Bear, you come in here to be a champion,
Mm.
and pursue championships, because that's what we do. We win at a very high level, and it's very consistent, and that's the history here. So we just want to uphold that, and continue to be better than when we got here. So for sure, I guess you could say there's pressure. I don't really look at it as pressure. I mean, there's high expectations for sure, but when the way I approach it with our team, we don't look at the end goal. Obviously, we've been to two Sweet 16s at this point, so every day we're not talking about we got to get to the Sweet 16 or we got to get to the Elite Eight. We're not talking
Mm.
about that. We're talking about checking off small goals in practice and celebrating small victories along the way. So we have little steps that we're taking each day in practice, and then each game, and then just as we go along the season, that we want to check off some things and continue to get better. But it's not about the end goal. Obviously we want to make a run in March, but there's so many things that you got to do to get there. It's not easy to make the NCAA tournament. And once you've done it consistently, of course, that's the expectation. And once you've done well in the NCAA tournament, of course, that's the expectation. But if you just focus on that end goal, sometimes you can fall short. So, we don't focus on the pressure of it. We just try to stay present, enjoy the journey, and enjoy each other.
You probably can't see over my right shoulder. It's a big picture of some of the big basketball events that have happened here in St. Louis. And one part of that is the picture of Jackie Stiles in the 2001 Final Four that was here in St. Louis. And I was there. And, that was such an amazing run by the Lady Bears that year. And of course, they were here. And the young lady from Notre Dame that was a St. Louisian was a part of the Final Four. It was such a celebration of women's basketball here in St. Louis, and the Lady Bears were a part of that. You guys are off to a 4-2 start, and I wanted to, I talk to coaches all the time about the secret to scheduling, and out of your first 6 games, Oklahoma State, USC, Virginia Tech, LSU, you went for just the soft teams to get out of the box, right?
We started off with a bang. We knew we had a lot of experience coming back and some good transfers coming in. Well, here, regardless, we schedule hard in a non-conference. If you want to beat the best at the end of the year, you gotta prepare your team. And so that comes with non-conference scheduling. We have a really tough conference, so we know that's going to be a dogfight too. But playing some of those Power 5 teams, you gain a level of experience that helps propel you to championships. So we started off with 2 really tough mid-majors in Little Rock and North Texas. Those were dogfights for us. And our first game was on the road at Little Rock. So those were good wins that we grinded out. And now Little Rock's gone and knocked off 2 Power 5 teams, and North Texas is doing well. So those are 2 good wins for us. And then we had a pretty brutal stretch with 4 Power 5 schools. And, Oklahoma State, that was just not a very good game for us. And, we just couldn't get it clicking. But, I think we needed that game to kind of get back on track. And I think we did. We had a great showing at USC. Handled them pretty good. I thought we blew them out pretty good, and then knocked off a top 25 team of Virginia Tech, and dropped one to LSU. But I just think coming out 2-2 in that stretch was really good for us, especially because it was all on the road. We were at Oklahoma State, came back for a day, went to USC, traveled overnight, red eye, got back at 10 in the morning, was home for 36 hours, and went to Puerto Rico. So we were kind of beat down, and in the middle of that, we lost one of our starters, Abby Hipp, to ACL, and we couldn't even really take time to bounce back from that. We just had to keep going, and ended up beating Virginia Tech, and then obviously just losing at the end there to LSU. But I'm really proud of our group. It's been a really, really hard schedule. It doesn't get a lot easier. We got some hard games coming up. But again, you got to schedule this way and get your team to be able to persevere through these challenges now, and it's going to make us better in the future.
You mentioned the Valley, the women's conference, the Missouri Valley Conference is an outstanding one. And the league has, put forth a number of really outstanding teams. Talk a little bit about the league and some of your prime rivals in the Missouri Valley Conference.
Yeah. My first year here, our conference RPI at the time, I think, was 7th in the country. And then last year was 8, our net. And this year, obviously still calculating some of that stuff, but that's high. I mean, to me, we're the best mid-major conference in the country. I mean, You got Power 5, and you got one other conference, and you have us. So it is a dogfight day in and day out. And then being who we are, my first 2 years, top 25 team, I still think this year, maybe we have time to crack that again. But everybody's going to give us their A game. Even in our non-conference schedule, you see LSU, the way they played the night before they played us, and then they played us, was a completely different team. So everybody gives us their A game, and everybody wants to beat us. So going into conference play, it doesn't matter how people are performing. Even if they are at the bottom of the conference, they're going to play great against us, which makes it difficult for us. We can't have a day off, an off day or anything like that, because you can, drop a game. So obviously Drake is a rival. And they're doing really good. Allison is taking over for Jenny, and she's doing a great job so far. So I expect them to be the same Drake they usually are. UNI is a tremendous team. I think they're very talented, well coached by Tanya. But you have other ones, Bradley, Illinois State. Loyola has been really good here recently. So I just think that our conference is really tough, and we have really good coaches that understand how to scout people and take away weaknesses and things like that. So it's it's competitive, and I hope to see us be a multi-bid conference this year.
I'm going to be talking to Cindy Stein here in a week or two. Uh, she's been around a long time and done a lot of outstanding things. Talk a little bit about her.
Yeah, Cindy Stein is kind of, the OG, I guess you could call it. She's been around for a while. I know this is her last season. It's kind of a farewell season for her, but she's a great coach. I just think that she does a great job scouting, does a great job preparing her team to play games. Makes the most out of what she has. And I actually was rooting for her early this season. She almost took down Tennessee at Tennessee. And that would have been a really, really big game for them. They lost right there at the end. So that just lets you know what kind of coach she is, to be able to go into a top 25 SEC program on their court and almost steal a game. So, I hope she continues to do well. I hope this is a great season for her, except for when she plays the Lady Bears. But, especially being her last season, and I hope she goes out on a high note. And just a phenomenal person too. She's just she's always rooting for us here and rooting for everybody in this conference. I really do appreciate her.
Let's talk a little bit about your team. You've got some young ladies that are like rewriting the record book there. And obviously, you're not successful without talented players and players that have bought into what's going on. Talk a little bit about Bryce and Jasmine and some of the others in your starting lineup. But those two in particular, like just rewriting the book every night.
Yeah. Those two the evolution of those two have been crazy. Bryce, hers was more so leadership wise and, just embracing people and things like that. She's grown so much as a leader and has really become the leader of our team. But even her game has grown. I think this year, coming back for a 6th year, she just, her first couple games, she just kind of had to figure out, find her place again. I don't think she, with Jasmine just playing the way she was, it was kind of hard for Bryce to find her place. But she came into her own at the USC game and kind of came back to us. But I think Bryce, she's done so much work this summer to improve her shot, improve her finishing ability. But her leadership skills, I guess you could say, have improved the most. And so I'm just really happy to see her continue to grow off the court as much as on the court. And Jasmine, same thing. When I first got here, Jasmine was nowhere near being a leader on this team. She was really young, obviously sophomore, and just, really one-handed, just left-handed, wasn't really using her right hand, couldn't stretch the defense to the 15-footer, couldn't handle the ball all that well. And now she's ripping and driving. She can shoot the 15-footer. People are taking away her left hand. She can score with her right. She's just playing at a high level with a higher motor. Always had the ability to rebound and do the things she's doing, but now she's doing it for 40 minutes and really putting pressure on the other team. So she's grown tremendously on the court. And then her leadership skills and her leadership tactics have changed a lot, and people respect her in that regard. So both of those kids have really, really grown a lot on and off the court. But, Abby Hip is another one who came back for a 5th year, just blew her knee out, but she's the heart and soul of our team. And she will continue to be that on the sideline, but having her, not having her on the court is going to affect us a little bit. But, I think her intangibles will still be there because she'll be around, and going to make her into kind of like a student coach because she wants to coach in the future. So I want to help her too. But Abigail Jackson is another one. Abigail Jackson has really come into her own. She's had a tremendous offseason, and she's such a versatile athlete. And I just want her to continue to soar. I mean, that kid is just so gifted and blessed naturally, athletically. And I'm just excited about the way that she's just coming into her own. But, the biggest one I would say that improved leadership wise is Maya Binhar, our point guard. And she's our commanding presence on both sides of the floor. And she has completely changed off the court. She just is so mature, so confident, such a commanding presence, just gets us organized. Everybody kind of flocks to her. She's just really coming to her own as well. And obviously her game has also gotten better. And, just you see she's top 10 in the country in assist to turnover ratio, things like that. So, I mean, there's so many people. I can go on and on and on, but Sydney Wilson, sorry, I can't leave her out. Sydney Wilson, she was tremendous in Puerto Rico, and she's just, all her hard work is starting to show on the offensive end. She's always been a great defender, but now she's a versatile scorer. And, I just really love our players because they work hard and they get better. And it's not just on the court, because we stress a lot of things off the court and life skills wise and, just development and just trying to get them ready for life after basketball. So I'm just really proud of every one of them.
One of the things I love about basketball, I was a very mediocre high school basketball player in my own time. But one of the things I love about basketball are those things that you were just talking about, life lessons, working with others, improving things, learning about hard work, teamwork, selflessness, those kinds of things. And when I look at some of the accolades of some of your players, a number of them on all defensive teams, a number of them the defensive player of the year. Those effort kinds of things. I mean, obviously you have to have some skill and some physical ability to do those things, but that to me, those register hard work, heart, team first kinds of, I don't know, thoughts or attitudes. Am I right on that? Am I on the right track?
Yeah, for sure. We our defense has been stellar, especially this year, but really since we've been here. And that's something that you can control. You can control how hard you go. You can control pursuing rebounds. You can control getting 50-50 balls. You can control knowing your scouting report and being able to take away somebody's deficiencies or strengths and force them into their deficiencies. So, if we can't score for whatever reason, the ball's not going in, there's a lid on the basket, we can control the defensive side and the rebounding side. So that's something that's kind of been a staple here. And kids have bought into that. But just even moving into the life part that you were talking about, we do this program called Life After Ball. It's our life skills program, and it has nothing to do with basketball. It has to do with life skills. So we've done so many. We have body language coming up. We have done mental training, sleep training. Clinique came in and did skincare. We've done cooking. We've done self-defense. We've done all kinds of things. So these are things that I just want to give them tools to help them be successful in society when they're done with the ball, because that ball is going to stop bouncing. We know that, obviously. So I want to make sure they're ready for life. So those skills can also, correlate with basketball skills and just how you attack things on a basketball court. So we work on the mental piece and the anxiety and all that stuff, the mental health of it. We work on, just the communication. We had a lab on communication and differences between people and what they hear and what you hear and perceptions and things like that. So all of this is life skills, but it also translates into like teammates or team skills and just being a great teammate and, just the camaraderie of the group. So I believe in developing kids, I believe it's not about basketball. It's bigger than basketball. We always say bigger than buckets. So yes, sometimes it crosses over and skills can cross over and different things we're talking about can cross over, but sometimes it has nothing to do with basketball. It just has to do with being a young woman and being able to be seen and heard in a male dominated world, different things that we talk about, just empowerment. So I just like to tap into so many different areas with these players, young ladies. And I think that some of it helps them be better basketball players and some of it just helps them be better people.
That skincare thing, did you bring Dana's guys in for that as well to help them out or no?
No, I didn't. But, there's this, that's a part of life, just anything you can, proper ways to clean, proper ways to, there's so many things that, changing a tire, there's so many things that we try to tap into just to make sure that they can be independent and successful in life.
So good, man. So good. A couple years ago, the NCAA changed women's basketball to the 4 quarters, and I like aspects of that. I just wonder, as a coach, obviously as it gets implemented, you just roll with it. But is it something you like? Did you like that change when it came along?
Yeah, I didn't. Oh, initially, when it came along, any kind of dramatic, or I guess you could say drastic change like that is like, wait, what are we doing? We playing 2 halves, forever. What are we doing now? But now, we're used to it. I liked it. Gives you some extra timeouts, obviously. But it also helps you set smaller goals too, because there's going to be breaks. So, you always talk about winning these 5 minutes or the next 5 minutes or whatever it is, but now it kind of breaks it up a little bit for you. So, we have goals that we have just specifically for each quarter. And if you play 2 halves, you wouldn't be able to break it up that way. So there's things that we've acclimated with it, and I don't have any issues with it.
You have an outstanding fan base there in Springfield and the surrounding area there, better than a lot of women's basketball programs. That's got to be an advantage to you when folks come to JQH.
Oh yeah, that's one of our main goals. We have some goals that we check off along the way, but protecting home court and being undefeated at home is a big one. And since I've been here, we've lost 1 game at home. And that was last year to South Dakota State. who we actually go to them in a week here. So but yeah, and I think part of the reason why we do protect home court is because yes, we stress that, but our fan base is tremendous, and they make it a very tough environment for the opposing team to come in and perform. So I love our fan base, and I've been a lot of places in women's basketball, and it's not common. It's just not. It's very unique to have that and have it for how many years we've had it. But that just is being a Lady Bear. It comes with being a Lady Bear. There's people here that love Lady Bear basketball, and there's people here that have high expectations for Lady Bear basketball, but they support us throughout the year, and I really appreciate our fans.
I don't want to keep you too much longer. Two questions to finish up, and maybe three actually. The style, if somebody's going to come and watch Lady Bears basketball, is that, man, we're up and down. We press 94 feet. We're a pack it in defense and we run methodic offense. Tell us about the style of the Lady Bears basketball.
Yeah, well, offensively, we're going to set the tone. We're going to play fast. We play very, very fast, make or miss. We want to push that ball. We get into, our continuity offense. We have a bunch of quick hits where we use our versatility. So sometimes we're going to post up guards. Sometimes we're going to pop some bigs. We got different stuff that we can run, but we're going to push that ball. And everybody knows that that's the number one thing we're going to do on offense. And we train them like that, throughout the course of summer, preseason. So we're in very good shape and we can do that 40 minutes. So that's a big thing. Defensively, we are going to be physical. We're going to be in gaps.
Wait. I love the way you said that. We're going to be physical.
Yeah. Yep. We're going to be physical. You got to be tough. We want those 50-50 balls. But we're going to be in gaps. We're going to, ball pressure, things like that. But we dominate on that side of the ball, and we set the tone there. I think our staple on both sides of the ball would be rebounding, and so if people play us, they're gonna say, hey, you got to get back in transition. Don't let their physicality on defense rattle you, and you better box out. I can guarantee you those are the three things that people are gonna say about us. But when I got here, it was hilarious. I said to our players, I'm like, after a few workouts and seeing what we have, and I knew that we can develop these, players, I said, we're going to be one of the best rebounding teams in the country for sure. And they looked at me like, in the country? And I'm like, yes, in the country, and we have been,
Beautiful.
And it's an effort thing. Yes, we have the athleticism to do it, but it's an effort thing. There's some tactic to it. And that's just something I stress. That's one of the things that I did best as a player. I rebounded the ball on both sides. And that's something that every drill we do in practice has an emphasis on rebounding. So that's what we do.
Tell me about Hoops in the Heartland, that setting, that neutral site for the Missouri Valley Conference. With the men do it here in St. Louis, the women there in Moline. Just talk about that setting and that environment and the tenor of that tournament.
Yeah, well, I've only been there once.
Oh, that's right. We had COVID the first year.
First year COVID, second year COVID. We had to unfortunately pull out of that one. But we just knew that we didn't want to jeopardize our NCAA tournament run and just protect everybody in our bubble. But the one time that I was there, I actually really like the venue. I think it's a great venue. It's great actually. The fans are not. I think the fans, every seat is a great seat, and I think that it's a very good size. I really like the venue. I think it's kind of in the middle of nowhere, I will say. Moline doesn't draw the most. There's just not a whole lot going on there, but for us, we don't need a whole lot going on there. We need a gym, we need a ball, and we need a hoop. So for us, it's fine. I mean, I think we're one of the furthest schools away. That would be the only other thing that is kind of taxing on us is just the travel there. But for what it is, I think it's fine. I like the venue. I think it's good.
Final question, because I know you're a busy person. You talked about being a God-fearing woman and talk about how that doesn't bleed over. It seems like it pours deeply into, what you're trying to accomplish as a person and as a coach.
Yeah, well, when you have a foundation and something that's bigger than yourself, then your steps are already ordered. So when I hit hard times or there's adversity, that's what I turn to. I turn to prayer. I turn to, God, and he always sees me through. So I just think that, there's so many things that can happen. That's why I tell our players, there's so many things that can happen in life. There's adversity every day, ups and downs. Like they're in this bubble of collegiate athletics. And, we tell them, when we're leaving for the bus and when we're eating, when we're doing this, when we're doing that. And when you get into life and things are thrown at you from all different directions, once you have a foundation and again, something that is bigger than yourself, it makes it easier to manage those tough times. And as we know, as coaches, there's a lot of tough times. There's a lot of stress, managing people. There's always something going on with somebody. So you have to have a foundation. So yes, it bleeds into every part of my life, when I'm missing my family, when I'm, just fellowshipping with my family, with my players, things like that. So it's definitely an important piece. And so, like I say, everything I do, I want to do for God first, and please Him first. And second, honestly, is my mother, who was my inspiration, and she was my motivation. She passed away in 2008, and my best friend. And so she was just the ultimate example of perseverance, just resiliency, love. She had a genuine spirit, just a smile that could light up the room. She, to me, was an angel. So I just always want to try and live up to her name and continue. And she was somebody who always kept God first, and that was an example growing up that I saw, and I just saw the blessings that were bestowed on her life. So and there's been so many in my life too. So I just want to continue to do that. And I definitely don't push faith on anybody, and everybody has their own faith, their own God that they believe in or don't believe in. But I do believe that if you do believe in something bigger than yourself, it just puts everything, it puts life in perspective, and allows you to see the bigger picture a lot.
Amaka Agugua, right? Agugua. Did I get it right?
Yes.
Coach Mox Hamilton. I don't want to leave the last name out there either. Listen, super appreciate your time today. Love what you guys are doing at Missouri State. Love how you're representing your faith and the school and the league, and really appreciate your time today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
That's Coach Mox. You've been watching the Valley Hoops Insider podcast here, part of valleyhoopsinsider.com. Thanks for being a part. Remember, since you've been there, make it a better place. We'll see you again real soon.